Any thoughts on what do we mean by that? Startups? Anything else? Competing with the global players? Sorry? Next Silicon Valley. Wow, that's awesome. That's the kind of aspiration that we want to have, right? We want to make sure that Bangalore is the next Silicon Valley. Hyderabad is, right? We do have better infrastructure than Bangalore. Let me start off with that.
Product-based companies.
Product-based companies, yes. Yeah, I think those are the things that I wanted to touch upon. I do have some slides, but I think they will be very boring. So I'll talk as much as I can to make it interesting, especially since it's after lunch, right? So I just want all of you to just have your eyes on the slide. There's not much that I need to talk about it. This is just the as-is state of Hyderabad, bit dated 2023. And that's Cyber Towers for people who are outside of Hyderabad. That building is Cyber Towers. So Hyderabad's GDP, just not IT, right? GDP covers a lot of other things. It's about 75 to 100 billion estimated, and it's about maybe 3% of India's overall GDP. But Hyderabad's GDP is growing at about 8.47%, which is probably 1% more than India's GDP growth rate, right? Which essentially means there's a lot of stuff happening in Hyderabad, right? People are building things in Hyderabad. And by 2035, it's projected that Hyderabad's GDP will be 200 billion. And it'd be great if some of you or all of you are building product companies or contributing to the GDP, right? I would love for that to happen, right? But this was Hyderabad in 2001. How many of you were in Hyderabad in 2001? I came to Hyderabad in 1999. I obviously did not come only for biryani. I didn't think I was going to be in Hyderabad. For whatever reasons, I didn't think I was going to be in Hyderabad. Because the firm that I joined had an office in Bangalore as well. And my plan was always 6 months in Hyderabad and then I'm in Bangalore, right? It's 25 years now. Except for a few years in the US, I've been in Hyderabad. And there's no way that I'm going to any other city than Hyderabad if I'm going to be in India, right? But the point is, if you look at 2000 picture, right? That's the same Cyber Towers. That's the same Cyber Towers. And just to tell you a story, in 1999, some of my colleagues and me, we were, our office used to be at that point of time, the center of the city, Somajiguda. We had made a weekend picnic visit to see Cyber Towers and other things. And it was around evening 6 o'clock. We just didn't have a way to go back. We walked up to Jubilee Institute Post. If you really, I don't look like somebody who walks a lot, but yeah, that's what happened. And at that time, we didn't have things like Uber or Ola, or more importantly, we didn't have Manayatri. Right? So in 20 years, you see in 22 years how things have changed. People have started building solutions that solve for problems in our city, in Bangalore, and we should be really, really proud of it, right? But how has this happened? How has this happened? I mean, we can go into, I don't want to go into each of these bullet points, right? I just want to say that this is a byproduct of a virtuous cycle that has been created by our government policies, private corporate enterprises, and the talent that we have, right? So today, if you really look at the Indian cricket team, compared to 20-25 years back, a lot of people now think that cricket is a true career, right? And it's not happened just because you look at Virat Kohli as a role model. It has happened because the BCCI has built the infrastructure for India to win. Similar things are starting to happen in Olympics as well, right? We're starting to see people win in different sports. And so, just as like that, Hyderabad also has been successful because of a lot of people working together, collaborating together, building the infrastructure that provides opportunities for the talent that we already have in Hyderabad. and also the infrastructure attracts talent from other places, right? So it's a virtuous cycle that we have created, which is what has helped us where we are today and where we need to be in 2035, right? So, thankfully, I think somebody also spoke about it. Let's not get into politics, but the good thing is, irrespective of whichever party has been leading the government, we continued in the policies that make the right things for people like us to thrive. And we hope that it will continue, right? But I think, for all of us here, I didn't want to get into anything specific like an AI or a digital asset or a quantum computing, etc. But what I really want to call out is the three dimensions that is making Hyderabad a place to be, a place that can help us all thrive in our careers, as well as we can give back to the city to make the city part of a global map, right? I look at them as three dimensions, three I's. One is incubation, two innovation, and three infrastructure, right? We could talk about this in different order, but what I mean by that is, if you, I think to your point, sir, about making it a next Silicon Valley. If you really look at Silicon Valley, right? Why is it so successful? Because it brings together some of the world's best institutes, like a Berkeley or a Caltech. It has some of the best companies, Microsoft, Nvidia, and others, who are really game-changing. And it is bringing together the VCs and others who are willing to invest in the talent. And if you really look at Hyderabad, we are probably going to be having the same infrastructure similar to that. We are able to bring together like the best institutes, right? I mean, I think the kind of work that's happening in IIIT Hyderabad, for example, on some of the most fundamental engineering topics that will bring more cyber security and resilience to the digital world is just awe-inspiring. Right? You have the best institutes like IIIT Hyderabad, IIT as an office, IIT as an institute in Hyderabad, and you have the government supporting and doing upskilling programs. A lot of programs are being built by the government, and then we were very fortunate to hear from MSR Garu today about T-Hub, right? There's just a lot of things that accelerators like T-Hub do to Hyderabad, and if you really look at some of the numbers, and I can speak from my experience, we ran a program, we at Broadridge ran a program with T-Hub, as well as with ISB Labs. We were just all inspired by the startups that came up and be part of that accelerator programs, right? So what I'm trying to say is that we have great institutes. We have these accelerators like T-Hub, ISB Labs, and there's a great opportunity for people who want to be founders to network with them, to get to know them and seek their support. And their support is going to really help put you all in a global map, right? And of course, our IT minister also has announced that Hyderabad will be India's first AI city. There's going to be a lot of investment specifically happening around AI, which is going to be really, really beneficial for many of us here, who either you are working in a corporate or you're working in a product company or you're dreaming about building a startup that solves some of the most important problems that we have today, right? So this is all, things that are bringing together to make Hyderabad a place that really can help the Indian developers go onto the global map, right? But I'm going to take a pause and ask you, is it enough just for external factors to make you successful in your life? What do you need to be successful in your life? Skills? Motivation? Mindset. Oh, I love that word.
Goal.
Sorry?
Not quitting.
Not quitting. Yeah, that's a mindset.
Big goal.
Sorry?
Hunger for growth.
Hunger for growth. Yeah. Passion.
Having
Yes.
goals.
Lovely. I think my talk is over. Innovation, yeah. I just want to take the next 5 minutes to close my talk, right? The city, the country, the infrastructure, all of this can help us be successful. But if our city has to be in the global map, that responsibility also lies in us, right? And how are we going to change? How are we going to uplift ourselves to make that happen, right? We want to leave the next generation be very proud of the city, right? And these are some of the 3 principles that I sort of embraced over the last few years. I wish I had done this before. I started my career as a developer, right? So for the developer community, right, the mindset change that I am requesting you all to think, reflect, and make it happen is move from having a developer mindset to an engineering mindset. What do I mean by that? Far too often we as developers just think about coding and we think that's the end of my responsibility, right? I think his name is Magilan, right? The Namayatri founder. He made a great point. He talked about how they thought in systems and not just an application. So the key thing for you to move from a developer to an engineering mindset is think systems, not application. What do I mean by that, right? If you are building an application right from day one, start thinking about what do you want your application to be or what do you want your startup to be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, right? It was very interesting. I think a lot of talk happened around ONDC as well. I was talking to some of the people who were involved in UPI, the NPCI team, and very interestingly, what they said to me was, day one, they were thinking about how to design a system that will be supporting 1 billion plus transactions. They were not thinking about, I just want to build a solution that supports transaction between 2 different accounts digitally, right? They were thinking about how do I scale the system. This is going to be very, very important in making you a 10x engineer. Start thinking about how do I build scalable, secure, and resilient systems, right? This is what I mean by a developer to engineering mindset. The second one that will help us be on the global map is moving from a project to product mindset, right? Too often we always talk about our work in terms of projects. By projects, what do we mean by that? We have a defined requirements, defined scope, somebody gave me a time, somebody gave me a cost, and I'm just happy delivering within that period of time. Mostly we don't deliver, we all often spend more than what it should be and we delay our projects and we find excuses, but that's project mindset. What we want is a product mindset, right? Namayatri is a classic example. It's a product mindset. He spoke about empathy. It is so important. If you're going to put ourselves in global map, it is important that we move from a project to product mindset. A product is ever-living organism, in my opinion. It changes. You either pivot with the product as is, or you persevere, or you make those changes that make product deliver value. You don't think about what do I deliver, but you think about what value I have created. I think to be a good startup person, you have to start thinking about what business value have I delivered to my customers. And please, this is the second mindset. I think somebody said mindset, so I love that word, mindset. The first mindset is developer to engineer. The second mindset is project to product. And the third one I'll finish off. This is my new favorite one. This is something that I learned from my CTO. He told me this, and I really love it when he started explaining to me, right? Everybody is doing mostly Agile? Yes. Why Agile? Sorry? Speed to the market, implement, right? Scope for change. Coordination. You know what tends to happen in Agile most times? People just think Agile means fast and we will run fast. And the most important mindset that he said was, and which this is not mine, but I am adopting it, and I would love for everyone to adopt, is what he said was, go slow to run fast. What do we mean by that, right? The US Navy SEALs, they have a slogan. They say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. What it essentially means is that when you are building products, be very thorough in your initial days. Understand what is your consumer wanting. understand how you're going to build the system. Get everything fundamentals right, take time, be slow during that phase. Once you do that, then you can be really, really fast in scaling things. I think some of it is what you will learn from the masterclass as well. I think NVIDIA is going to talk about how they're going to optimize cost, etc. Right? So go slow to run fast. I'll just finish with few other things, right? I want each of you to think about your career in terms of a startup and adopt what I personally love, lean startup principles, right? Which really talk about building, measuring, and learning. What are you learning about yourself? What skills are you building about that will help you be in the global map? And what are you measuring about yourself? The right measures that help you be successful, right? So please network more, find a good mentor, upskill yourself. Don't just go by what is the flavor of the season, right? And I will just finish off with one thing. If you are a C or a C++ programmer, please understand your point as well. We don't want another CrowdStrike. Thank you.